Hello, I'm Yanela Rodriguez. I'm the founder of QuickMathics. This is the first lesson of Algebra 1. And now I'll start with the basics, like the beginning of the course, which is solving linear equations. As you guys have learned in your classes, every time you see a question that says solve, oh, sorry, here we go. Did you see a question that says solve? You need to basically um okay. You need to basically find the value of the only variable that is in the equation. In here, you can see that our variable is p. So what we need to do is find the value of p. Now, you see that p is in the left side, so we want to make to leave p, or the variable we are trying to find, in one side of the equation and all the other values in the other side. So in this case, we are going to multiply each side times 2 times negative 2. And it's going to be p plus 5. Let me put this as thinner so it's easier to see. Yeah, p plus 5. And the negative 2 is going to cancel with the other negative 2. So it's p by 5 equal 9 times negative 2 equal negative 19. Now, since we want to leave our p in one side, we need to subtract 5 from each side. So p is going to be equal to negative 18 minus 5, negative 23. As you can see here, both, like, it doesn't matter that it is subtracting, since the 18 also have a negative sign. So every time two values have a negative sign, um, they are going to be added and the sign is going to be kept. So that's the reason that negative 18 minus 5 is equal to negative 23. And this must be our answer. Now for question 2. You see that there are two values of p, and there's also two integers. That is the name of the number that doesn't have a variable. So what we want to do in this case is always to um, additionate on the similar values. So like to keep the p's in one side and keep the numbers in the other side. So in this case, we'll say that negative 6p plus p equal, I subtract 12 in both sides, so it's negative 43 minus 12, since 12 minus 12 is 0. So I have this, and I see that these two values have a p. So if they are like terms, that's the definition, that's the way to name them. If they are like terms, we just combine them. Like if you see there is nothing in front of this p, so that's equivalent to a 1. So we will see like negative 5p. I'll put it like right here, negative 5p. Why negative? Because the number that is greater, that is a 6, has a negative sign. So negative 6 plus 1 is going to be negative 5, since they are like opposite signs, and the ones that have the greater signs is the 6. So negative 5p equals to, in this case, is negative 43 minus 12. As I explained it before, if they are like the same sign, they're just going to be added, and they're going to keep that sign. So negative 5p equal negative 45. Now we need to divide by negative 45 in both sides, and we get that p equals 9. I'll make this smaller, give me 1 second. Yep. Why 9? Why positive? Because another important rule, I'm sorry I'm talking too fast, I just want to cover as much as I can, is that every time you divide a number by the same sign, it's going to keep like, it's going to convert to the other side. Like negative divided by negative is going to be positive, positive divided by positive is going to be positive. Okay, no, I think I confused someone. Positive divided by negative is going to be negative. The rule is that every time, I'm sorry if I said something wrong before, let me correct myself. The rule is that every time the signs are equal, the result is going to be positive. So you can write down in your note. I'll put it like right here, in black, so it's easier to see. Yeah, every time you multiply or divide two numbers or variables with the same sign, the result will be positive. So see, if in this case we'll have like a negative 45, but a 5 positive, like a plus 5, the results will have been negative 9. I hope you guys understand what I just did. Um, for example 3, as you see, it's like example 2, basically. You have like the two similar terms, like two variables and two numbers. So we always want to leave the variables in one side and the numbers in the other. So we get like negative 18j. Let me put it smaller. Negative 19j plus 3j equals negative 3, and since we want to get rid of this 6, we need to add 6 in both sides. So we get negative 3 plus 6. Now, since they are like terms, we can combine them, and we have like they have different signs. We need to keep this in our mind. So since they have different signs, we need to subtract them and leave the signs of the greater number. So we have like 11 minus 3, which is going to be 8. And since 11 have the greater sign, our result is going to be negative 8j. In this case, it's exactly the same. We have like negative 30 plus 6. Since they have different signs, it's going to be 30 minus 6, which is 24. But since the theory is greater and have like the negative sign from, our result is going to be negative 24. So we have 8j equals negative 24. We want to solve for the j. So we divide by negative 8 in both sides. Let me put it right here. Negative aj equals 24. So we divide by negative a in both sides. Wait, this is negative, I'm sorry. Negative a. Since they have both the same sign, we know that our results will be positive. So 24 divided by 8 is going to be 3, so our result is j equals positive 3. Now, for the next exercise is a little bit more complicated, since as we see, we have multiplication in this part. For this kind of exercises, wait a second, let me put this smaller. Okay. Whoa, sorry. Okay. For this kind of exercises, that we need to do is use the distribution rule. What does it mean? Well, that means that we need to multiply everything in front of the parentheses by each number or variable inside of the parentheses. So we need to do like 3 times x is going to be 3x. Since there is a variable, we cannot do anything more than that. Now, 3 times negative 2. This is a tricky part. As you see, the 3 has a positive sign and the 2 has a negative sign. This is basically what we see here. You see, every time you multiply or divide. So what does it mean? It means that since they have different signs, we are going to be negative. If they were equal, the result will be positive. If they are different, the result will be negative. So we get 3 times 2 equals 6, but since the signs are different, our result will be negative 6. Now, let's do this part. Plus 5 times 2 is 10. Since they both have positive signs, the result will be positive. 5 times negative x, since they have like different signs, the result will be negative, and we will get negative 5x equals 16. Now we'll do what we have been doing since the first exercise, keeping the variables in one side, I'm sorry, and keeping the integers or numbers in the other side. So we get like 3x minus 5 equals 16, since it was already there, plus 6, since we want to get rid of the 6 by adding 6, minus 10, since we want to get rid of this 10 by subtracting 10. And we combine, oh wait, sorry. We combine alike terms. I'm sorry, I missed the x here. As I mentioned before, the 5 is greater than 3, so and they have different signs. So we have 5 minus 3 equals 2, and since the 5 have the negative inside, our result is going to be negative 2x. So since we have to keep the variable. Now we have 16 plus 6 is 22 minus 10 is equal to 12. So we have 2x equals 12. Now we need to divide by negative 2 in both sides. And we get x equal negative 6. Why? Because they have different signs. So since the 12 is positive and the 2 is negative, we divide 12 by 2 is 6, and we have like the negative sign from, since their signs are different. Now for the next question. This is basically the same that we have been doing before. We pass the 3, we subtract by 3 here to t here, and we subtract by 7 here, and we get 5t minus 3t equals minus 7 minus 9. 5t minus 3t equals 2t minus 7 minus 9. Since they have equal sign, they'll be adding together and the sign will be preserved. So 7 plus 9 is 16, so our result is going to be negative 16. Now we need to divide each side by 2, and we'll get t equals negative 8 because they have different signs, so the negative is going to be kept, and 16 divided by 2 is equal 8. So that's the reason for answer. Now in this example, we have more multiplication. We need to do what I explained in exercise number 4. We are going to do the distribution rule, 2 times negative 2 times x and negative 2 times negative 4. Since these two have different signs, the negative sign is going to be kept, and negative 2 times x is 2x. Now you see these have a, like negative 2 is have the same sign as negative 4. They are both negative. So we know that our result is going to be positive since they have the same sign. And 2 times 4 is equal 8. So our result is going to be negative 2x plus 8. Now this is equal. Here is a little easier since the 7 is positive. So 7 is positive, x is positive, and we multiply 7 times x and we get like 7x positive. Now 7 is positive, the 4 is negative, so we know that our result is going to be negative since they have different signs. In 7 times 4 is equal to 28. So our result is 7x minus 28. Now we're going to do what we have been doing since the first exercise, keeping the variables in one side, the integers in the other. And we subtract this side by negative 7, this side by negative 7, sorry, negative a here, negative a here. So we get negative 2x, negative 7x equal negative 8 minus like 28. As you see, they all have the same sign, so we add them together and keep the negative sign. And we have negative 9x equal negative 36. So we need to divide both sides by negative 9. When we divide it, since they have the same sign, our result is going to be positive, and I put it right here. X equal 36 divided by 9 is equal 4, so x equal 4, positive, since this is negative and this is negative. I already explained it. So for exercise number 7, we start with fractions. Fractions might seem a little bit complicated, but I promise it's easier than it seems. The kind of tricky part with fractions is that you need to keep in mind that always you see an entire number, which is not a fraction, that doesn't have a denominator, which is this part, like the bottom part of the fraction, is going to be this number divided by 1. So 3 is the numerator and 1 is the denominator. But because 3 divided by 1 is equal to 3, we don't really put the denominator, like, ever. Now, to multiply by a fraction, we still keep the distribution rule, since you see there is parentheses. But now we need to keep in mind that the numerator multiply the numerator and the denominator multiplies the denominator. I'm sorry. So 2 times 3, they have the same sign, so it's gonna be like 6 positive because they have the same sign, and 3 times 1, so it's going to be 6 over 3. Now 2 times 6 is going to be 12, but since they are opposite signs, our result is going to be negative, so negative 12. 3 times 1 is going to be 3, because the denominator here is going to be 1. Now, this is as I explained before, and they have different signs. It's going to be negative, and 3 times a is equal 24, so it's going to be 24x, because we need to keep the x. Now, they have the same sign, so our result is going to be positive. So we put the positive here, and 3 times 4 is going to be 12. What I will recommend now, if you already notice this, we have here 6 divided by 3 and 12 divided by 3. If as you can see, we can divide those numbers. 6 divided by 3 is equal to 2 minus, because we need to give the sign, 12 divided by 3 is equal to 4. Now we have 2 minus 4 equals negative 24x plus 12. We are going to combine like terms, keeping the x in one side and the numbers in the other side. So we have negative 24x equals, we need to subtract the 12, so negative 12 plus 2 minus 4. So we combine the like terms and we got negative 24x equals negative 12 minus 4. Since they have the same equal, we just add them and keep the sign. It's going to be negative 16. Since we have plus 2, they are opposite, so we have 16 minus 2 is 12, but since the 16 is negative, we're going to, I'm sorry, it's 14. I don't know why I said 12, but since the 16 is negative, we're going to put negative for 14, since the 16, which is these two numbers, equals negative 16. It is like greater the 16 itself. If greater than 2, we're going to keep the sign of the 16. Now we have negative 24x equals negative 14. We're going to divide each side by negative 24. X is going to be equal of positive, since they have the same sign, so our result we know it's going to be positive 14 over 24. Now the tricky part is that you cannot leave an answer like that, since you see these two numbers are even. Wait, this is too high. Let's get right there. Since these two numbers are even, we can divide them by 2. So I'm going to divide 14 times and divided by 2 is going to be 7. And 24 divided by 2 is going to be 12. And our result is going to be 7 over 12. The reason we don't want to leave the 14 over 24 is that because in mathematics we always want to simplify the fractions as much as we can. So if like I will keep simplifying it, but as you can, if you know the prime numbers, we know that 7 is a prime number and can only be divided by 7 and by 1. And 12 cannot be divided by 7. So there is no way to simplify this function, this fraction, sorry, anymore. So this is our result. Now for the next exercise, is getting more and more complicated over time. That's normal, especially when you're like the time is passing and you're taking the exam, you also get more nervous. So it's kind of complicated and you need to pay close attention of what you're doing. So first, let's continue. We have already learned go step by step. Since you see there is a multiplication here, so we need to continue with our distribution rule. They are all positive, so we know that our result is going to be all positive. So 3 times k is 3k, 3 times 1 is 3, so 3k plus 3, and we're going to keep the 11k plus 11k. Now this is equal. The reason I didn't multiply the 11k is because it's outside the parentheses and we only multiply what is inside the parentheses. Now, we multiply this part, we also see that they're all positive, so we know that our result is going to be all positive. 2 times 4 is equal 8, and 2 times 5 is equal 10, and we need to keep the k. Now we add the plus 3. That was already there. So now it's our turn to put all the variables in one side and all the numbers in the other side. So we have 3k plus 11k minus 10, since we want to get rid of this one. So minus 10k equal 8 plus 3. And we want to get rid of this 3, so it's going to be minus 3. Now we combine in terms, we have 3k plus 11k equal 14 positive, minus 10 is going, minus 10k is going to be 4k positive. Equal 3 minus 3 is 0, so I'm just going to keep the a. Now we have 4k equal 8. We divide both sides by 4, and we get that k. This is smaller again. K equals 2, and this is our result. As you see, it's not as complicated as it seems. Is you always go step by step in the process. Now we have this, solve for x. You might think, why? Mathematics wasn't just numbers, but sincerely, as you advance more and more, you're going to see less and less numbers over time. Um, so this says solve for x. What it means is leaving the x in one side. What we are going to do is that is even all the x in one side as if the other letters were just numbers. We have this and we want to keep the x here. So the first thing we're going to do is leave only the x or the variable that contains the x in either the left of the or the right of the equality. What we need to do, what we need to do to like get the result is add st to both sides so we can cancel this. Then we have Rx equal I'm sorry, plus st. Now that we have this, give me 1 second. Oh, I understand why that. Oh, I copy. I'm sorry. Now that we have this Rx equal R plus S, we want to leave the x alone. What we need to do is divide this by r. And since we divide this by r, we also need to divide this by r. So the r's can cancel out here. So then we get that x is equal r plus s divided r plus st. I'm sorry, I don't know where the t went. R plus t divided r plus st. I'm sorry, divided by r. Basically, we just treat this as if they were numbers just without doing the actual calculation. Hello? 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 Hi. Hello, can you mute yourself, please? If you have any question, you can always ask me. I'm sorry. Now I keep explaining this. We always need to solve for x. Um, so what we need to do is exactly what we did here. Leave the x in one side of the equation. Um, leave the x alone or the equation that have the x in one side. So we need to subtract both sides by negative 2y. Like we need to subtract by 2y, negative 2y, I'm sorry. So negative 2y here, negative 2y here, and we can cancel out this because it's 0. Um, so we have 2x equal w minus 2y. Now we want to leave the x alone, so we divide this side by 2 and this side by 2. Let me put this smaller. Oops. And we cancel out this part and we get that x is equal y minus w minus 2y over 2. And this is going to be our result. For this part, is more complicated than that. We need to actually factor, which is something that might seem complicated, but as soon as you practice it, you'll see that it's not as complicated as it appears. It's only my recommendation always for math is doing exercises more and more. You can always find them online. You can just put, oh, I'm sorry, Algebra 1 practices or polynomial practices or solving for X exercises, and you can get them. And always you can ask me if you want. So what we need to do this is separate the X. So the logic behind factoring is like the contrary of the distribution rule. As you can see, these two variables have x, but since this variable has also an a, we cannot combine them because this variable doesn't have an a. What we do in this case is basically divide this by x, divide this by x, and put the x outside, which we'll see will be, then we can cancel this, and we'll see x multiplying to a minus 5. Since these two variables has x and we cannot combine them, we divide them 2 by x and put the x outside, as if it was this, as if it was this. Because when we multiply it, we are going to get to ax minus 5. Also, we have this is called factoring. We equal this to 2 since it was equal to before. And we have x multiplying to a minus 5 equal to. Now, we want to leave the x alone again, so since we have x minus 5 equal to, we are going to divide both part by 2a minus 5, a minus 5, so we can cancel all this and we can cancel all this. And we get x equal to 2a minus 5. I hope you all understood what I did. I just trying to leave the x alone since we want to solve for x. Um, this is the correct procedure. I'm sorry. Now, I think I'll do maybe 11 and 10. It's going to be all for today, but I'll be here next week explaining more and more exercises, more linear equations. That is was the topic for this week. Like as you see here, topic 1. And I have tons of exercises for this. So don't worry. Now is a problem. A bill to landscape your yard is $720. The material costs 375 and the labor 34.5 per hour. Write and solve an equation to find the number of hours spent landscaping your yard. Okay, we know that the total bill is going to be $720, as it says in the first sentence. So we know we can say that the $720 is going to be equal to all the other things, which is the labor, is the materials. Materials, I'll say M. Materials. This is smaller. And you can put any letter you want. I just like to put like the first letter of the word. So materials equal M. And the labor per hour. I just put labor per hour and I put age. Labor per hour. And I give it age, but you can always give it any letter that you like. So I know that the $720 is going to be the materials plus the hours. Now, each material has a cost of $375. So I can put that each material, so put it here, has a cost of $375. And it says that each for per each hour the labor is $34.5. I can say that for each hour the labor is $34.5. And this is going to be our equation. Since we have the total value that is 720, we have the material that is 375. Let me put it like prettier. And we have the labor per hour that is $34.5. And this is our equation. Now for number 11, the table shows pricing information for two pizzas. Write and solve an equation to find how many toppings would make the cost the same for both pizzas. Now, when the pizzas, when the, sorry, you see that the cheese pizza is equal 10, I put cheese pizza. I give it a variable first. Cheese pizza, I just put C. C is equal $10. And they already have a value. The value of this one is a like a variable. Let me continue with the value of the exercise. Now I have that the price per topping of this cheese pizza is equal to 150. So I give this a value of C. Oh, I'm sorry, I read it wrong. Okay, I'll start again. You can see what it means that these both pizza are cheese. This is the price per topping of each of them. And this is pizza A, and this is pizza B. For pizza A, $10 is the cost. And the price per topping, with I will say T, for each topping is going to be T. And this is pizza A. I just put an A equals 10. That is the cost of the pizza plus the topping that is 150 T. What I did is just put like if I have zero toppings, I'm just going to put 0. This is going to cancel out, and the values of pizza is going to be T. It's going to be 10. That's the reason I put 1.5 T, since it's the price of each topping. Now for pizza B, I know that 12.5 is the value of the pizza, so I put $12.5 plus each topping, I'm sorry, is going to be 1. So I put 1 T, since each topping is going to be 1. So I have these two equations. Now it says write and solve an equation to find how many toppings would make the co we made the cost the same for both pizzas. So we want to find A equals B. So that's when the cost of both pizza is going to be the same. That's what they are asking for. So what we need to do is just equal both equations. So if I have A equal B, I could say $10 plus $1.5 T equal $12, which is gonna be B, 12.5 actually dollars plus $1 T, which all the value of T. And now we can solve for like terms. We can ignore all the sign dollars since they are repeated. Um, Wait, let me actually show you why I canceled them. Let me do it later. I'm just going to put all the t's in one side since they are the variables and all the numbers in the other side, as I did before here, as I did in the first exercises. There is going to be, I'm going to subtract $1 T here, and I'm going to subtract $10 here, and I get $1.5 T minus $1 T equals 12.5 minus $10. Let me put this all as in the white part so you can see it better. And let me take this out. Now I combine like terms and I get 1.5 minus 1 is 0.5, so I have 0.5 T equals 12.5 minus 10 is going to be $2.5. Now we need to divide both sides by $0.5. This is the reason why the signs cancel, because if you divide this sign by this sign, it's just going to make 1. So it's not going to be a specific value anymore. And when you divide 2.5 by 0.5 in your calculator, our value is going to be 5. So I can show you. I don't have it working right now, but I promise. Just put it in your calculator and you see that 2.5 divided by 0.5 is equal 5. So this is the amount of toppings that you need to make the price of both pizzas equal. And yeah, this is all for today. I'll be here next week explaining more about this topic. As you see, we'll be working with perimeter in exercise 12, and we'll keep going more fractions, things to learn, and inequalities. Wow, so that's all. Thank you.